for collaborative learners implies we are positionally equal, learning together. Yes, I likely have more years of study in the subject matter than many of them, but knowledge, not applied, does us little good. I have found that most learning experiences stick best when we bring not just knowledge, but our own truth and experience to the conversation. As co-learners apply the knowledge that I help them bring forth, making it real in their own contexts, we learn from one another. Thus, real knowledge, that which is real to each one's experience, is shared together as co-learners in collaboration with the subject matter. Much has been written about adult learning, or what some of us call anthrogogy, and I need not repeat it here. Master teachers such as Paulo Freire, Bell Hooks, and Miles Horton have influenced my teaching style, but suffice it to say, the ideas of democracy and teaching from an egalitarian anthrogogy were on this continent long before Europeans arrived. Indigenous teaching styles embody a respect for co-learning without diminishing the authority of the teacher and without objectification of the co-learners. I always cherish conversations when people speak from their hearts, even if I disagree with them. Over the years, I have learned to face a reality in my own life, namely, there are few areas in which I have no opinions, or at least have no leanings, and therefore my assumptions are best challenged in groups by others who are thinking on the topic in a different way. In many of our Native American traditions, we have a prayer that often goes something like, "Have pity, understanding, on me, Creator, and remember, I am just a human being." The idea behind this prayer is that perfection is the enemy of attainment. We are all simply human beings, imperfect, but learning from our mistakes. Those mistakes make us human. And being human, by climbing out on a limb in order to reach others, is the most spiritual state of being in which we may find ourselves. When those special moments come, everyone in the room feels like we have experienced something together that is truly sacred. Perhaps promoting knowledge among co-learners in an atmosphere of sacred space is the most important role I have as a scholar and a spiritual leader. Narrative. In this book you will also notice what may seem to some to be an abundance of stories, both of a traditional indigenous style and my own personal stories. Narrative theology, like anthrogogy, has been used as a primary communication tool among indigenous peoples from time immemorial. Traditions are passed on orally, often through story, reinforcing the values developed over time among indigenous peoples. Included in those values is an understanding that spoken words have primordial power. Tribal stories, then, are considered sacred and are not to be used lightly. These sacred stories reinforce other indigenous values, much in the way ceremony and songs do. Naturally, stories, both shared tribal stories and one's own personal stories, are a primary vehicle for teaching and sustaining life. In juxtaposition, most Western communicative practices rely on story as a filler, or as a way of emphasizing propositional communications. The idea is that brief propositions, especially those alliterated, are an efficient communication tool. Unfortunately, humans do not seem to find themselves in propositions well, yet they do find themselves in story. As a former pastor, I can objectively say that the message was rarely taken to heart through my days of propositional communication, but people always found themselves in story in a personal and practical way. Often forgetting the sermon, they would remark on the earlier children's story. Story has been a primary communication tool among indigenous people all over the world for that reason, and it is for that reason that I use stories here. Biography. I chose to begin with a biographical section of the Hayward Lectures called The Red Couch Conversation, although I found the couch to be more of a burnt orange color. Traditionally, among indigenous North Americans, when introducing ourselves, we are supposed to tell who our people are and where we are from. Tribes, such as the Navajo, have even formalized this process. Not only does this practice give the listener an idea of who the person is and who the people are from whence they come,